RuggaMatrix is brought to you by Strike. Check out their new fleet tracking system. It will save you hundreds of dollars a month. Go to strike.com.au. Proud sponsors of RuggaMatrix International.
Hello and welcome to RuggaMatrix on the road. And yes, we had Laurie Fisher in Canberra, but we've gone one better today. We've got the Reds Director of Coaching in Queensland, Ewen McKenzie. And Ewen, welcome to the show. It's been ages. Where have you been, mate?
Oh, I don't know. You've been holding me out. I don't know. I'm here all the time. You know where I've been living. But nice to be back.
Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, a little bit older today. So that's all right. I feel young. So if I keep hanging around with players, they get younger and I get older. But I don't notice it, so it's good.
You keep driving around that red Volvo. You look pretty young in that, mate.
It's a fast car, mate. It's the right colour. Any colour's red's fast. So yeah, it's a good car. It's as I said, European Car of the Year, 2011. So I'm in good company.
We'll talk about fast movers. Izzy Folau named in the 22 on the wing after playing fullback for the Waratahs. He was a must choice, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, I was probably sceptical at the start of the season based on my knowledge of the conversion difficulties. You know, the instinctive part. I think he's young enough to have developed those instincts. Instincts looks very good. Every time he touches the ball, something seems to happen. And yeah, so I think he's deserved an opportunity. So hopefully he makes the most of it.
It's wet here in Queensland, Ballymore. It's wet behind us. Beautiful facilities, by the way. But how will that impact on the game if it continues to get wet?
Well, the wet usually just brings the game tight, makes the game tighter, brings both teams closer together. You'd think the Lions would handle the wet a little bit better than probably the Wallabies, just in terms of practice, I guess. But yeah, I think the Lions want to use the ball, and so does Australia. So in that sense, it's probably more of a disappointment for the spectators, really.
The Lions lost the midweek game during the week. A bit disappointing, weren't they?
Yeah, look, I didn't really see much of the game, but look, yeah, the Lions look like a bunch of guys that missed out on test selection. They're probably a bit disappointed, and difficult conditions. Brumbies' formula is a very effective formula. They're really good at playing the right end of the field and very good at putting pressure on the breakdown. I had a look at the stats from the game. Clear enough, the Brumbies were very good at putting pressure on the Lions and got results. They got one try and enough penalties to win the game, so it was a good outcome for them.
I've been pretty critical of the selection process leaving out Quade Cooper, but they've gone and done that and made the decision. So James O'Connor at 10 and Kristen Lealiofano at 12. You really got two sort of good ball distributors there at 10 and 12, but they don't really have the big units in midfield to threaten the Lions.
I think that I think the Lealiofano is an interesting selection because it's really that New Zealand, that first and second 5'8" type model, which is a bit different to where they've been in the past. And there's no doubt that James facilitates a more direct game and is very good at putting short runners through holes and things like that. He's very good at that side. Lealiofano can probably give him a bit more width. So there's a good balance there, and with Barnes at fullback, he can push up as well. So there's some creativity there. There's obviously the kicking game would come from probably more from Barnes stepping up. So there's a bit there to think about. So I'm interested how it all comes together. I think guys like Ashley Cooper and Digby, these guys can create space and can run into holes and create and can break tackles. So and then you've got the X factor, the unknown of Folau. So it's a pretty interesting combination.
There's almost a bit of unknown with Kirtley as well, because he's played basically one game in about 2 months. Is he going to be underdone?
Well, I think that's probably a question mark across the board. There's probably a bunch of guys there that haven't played a lot of rugby that. The positive people would say they're fresh, which is true, and they look like they've been training well. Watched them train this week, so they look like they're engaged and they look fit, but they haven't had a lot of football, so that might be a positive. The Lions, on the other hand, have played a lot of football. They're at the end of a long season, and they're playing these big games, so that'll be one of the big interesting points of the game about where that ends in the last 20 minutes of the game. A lot of games are generally won in the last 20 minutes, what that means in terms of how much match hardness there is and what's in the bank.
That's a good point, and that's the thing I've been harping on about this preparation. It was great to see, Jimmy Horwell and the guys watching your Reds play against them. But how much better would it be just to have them, at least involved in the collisions against the Lions before they met the Lions?
Yeah, I think there's a balance there. You clearly don't want to have your best players knocked up, but you look at the Lions, they've been backing guys up Wednesday, sitting on the bench playing on the Saturday. They're old school, and it's been done in the past. Clearly, Australia's had a strategy there. We argued and debated that for 12 months. Once we've got the policy sorted there, we've run with it. there's no secret we would love to have had all our players out there against the Lions, but that's the way it is. It's giving other guys a go, and but it creates an opportunity for that test team to be very fresh and very enthusiastic.
Will Australia get pulverised up front? What are your thoughts there?
No, I don't. I think the set piece stuff will probably cancel itself out across the board. I think the genuine contest is going to be at the breakdown. What happens at the tackle contest. And I think that's where the strength of the Australians will probably come through. I think the technical detail there. I think the Brumbies gave a good demonstration. I think the Reds did. The Waratahs. The Southern Hemisphere teams are very good at that area, and I think that'll be the technical difference. I think if it's anywhere, it's at the breakdown.
The thing about the Lions too is they've shown a lot of good continuity. I watched Brian O'Driscoll up close in Newcastle, and he's still putting in, mate. And I just think his old hard head is going to be crucial in where this series goes.
Yeah, you can't help but be impressed. I think his contributions have been slightly different, but very good. The one that's probably impressed me the most is probably Paul O'Connell. I think I thought he was outstanding in the Waratahs game, and I think to me he looks like a guy that's realised he's been around for a long time and is probably looking for a point of difference. And his linking play in that game, delivering passes midfield to link the forwards with the backs, his ability to get over the ball and steal and put pressure on and force penalties like a traditional seven. Those 2 points of difference to me were the things that he was looking for a way to be better than the other four second rows in the squad, and I think he did that, and that's been rewarded. So the old heads in the team, they're going to bring a bit there, and that'll offset some of the the youth and enthusiasm of some of the other players. So it's a good mix in that sense.
Laurie Fisher said they were going to push the referee, and it worked for them. They got away with a lot of breakdown, aggression, and the Lions were blowing up. I had the sports ears on. But that's not really going to work for the Wallabies, is it? Because they've got sharpshooters that will make them pay big time.
That's right, yeah. So you've got to be careful at where you play the game, and so that field positioning, and that's the Brumbies' formula is well known. And they did push the envelope, and I had a look through the penalty counts very specifically, and it's all on one side of the ledger. There was 25 penalties in total, including free kicks. And I think about 19 of those were either against the Lions in attack or for the Brumbies in defence. In other words, the whole refereeing performance was on one side of the ledger, and that worked, and it created enough opportunities for the Brumbies to get points and get field position. So, yeah, I'm interested to see Barnes at fullback probably points a little bit to where they'll be able to play a bit of field position if they need to. But they certainly want to play much football in front of the goalpost with the kicking performances of the Lions goal kickers.
We were there before, mate. I remember sitting in the box in the Gabba in 2001, and interesting, Laurie Lawrence sitting in the box as well. It was very depressing afterwards. They caught us by surprise. Is it possible for that to happen again?
Well, I think it is. I mean, that was I don't know if they caught us by surprise. We played a warm-up game, and we put a lot of effort into understanding them. In the end, they played a little bit more direct. They worked that the wet cricket pitch really well. And I think that they caught us by surprise was probably we were probably we made the fatal mistake in rugby of trying to go wide before you go forward. And we make those mistakes all the time. That happens all the time. We just literally went wide before we went forward. We turned that around quite quickly, and it was a 30-something point turnaround in the second game because we played more direct first, and then we got our width. So, the simple laws of the game never change. The unwritten laws of the game never change. You've got to go forward before you go wide, and we made that mistake. The Lions used that cricket pitch well. We had a couple of guys tumbling over and falling over, and there was a couple of tries created through good play through there, and that was pretty much the game. Plus, the thing that probably caught us off guard was just the volume of support. That big red sea of supporters in the crowd, 20,000 people cheering. There was only 37,000 people at the game, and 20,000 of them were cheering for the away team. So that was a surprise, and I think we turned that around in Melbourne. I think the AU did a good job in branding up and getting the yellow scarves and whatever out there just to make the team feel like that they were being supported by the home people.
And two quick ones. One, who's impressed you the most out of the Lions so far?
Oh, I've been impressed by lots of the players, but the O'Connell performance against the Waratahs stood out for me. I thought that was really good. Obviously, North on the wing's been pretty handy too. So, but there's a lot of good players there. It's just a question of how they combine, and I think that the politics of selection, clearly Gatland's got naturally would favour when it gets to 50-50, he's going to favour the Welsh guys. You probably see that with the bench. Brian missing out is probably a bit of a surprise, missing out on the 22 altogether. So that's they're the things that. But I think O'Connell's performance against the Waratahs was good, and O'Driscoll's been good, understated but really effective. And North, probably those three players that stood out to me.
All right, scoreline prediction.
I've tipped Australia by 10. I know that's probably people, but 10 points is nothing. That's a try and a penalty goal, and I think Australia. I've watched them train. Yeah, depending on the weather will bring it much closer. But I made that prediction for a dry track, so I'm very confident Australia will win.
They're going to be very hard to bend to break that line. Their defence when they're on, they're doing a good job. The Lions.
The Lions are very good at getting off the line, so they're good at creating their pressure. So, but that's someone like O'Connell, the short passing game, putting guys through the holes. We've got some good line runners, some good guys that can break tackles like Digby. We'll see. Again, it gets back to the breakdown. Unless the Lions can slow the ball down, Australia will get momentum through that.
All right, Ewan, great to have you back on the show, mate.
Nice to be back. Nice that you found me after all this time.
I just had to come to Brisbane to do it. All right, there he is. Ewen McKenzie, happy birthday, Ewan. And we'll be back on Sunday with a quick wrap-up of the first test, the Lions versus Australia. See you then.